Hello everybody! My name is Alex, otherwise known as MaskedSwan on the internet. Unleashed is upon us. The bannings of many cards have just happened in Riftbound, and I'm here to give my full set review on every single card. Now, a few rules, just so everybody's clear on everything that I'm doing here. Number one, all cards are going to be based on constructed. Not that I won't be saying cards are explicitly more meant for limited play, meaning at a pre-release, sealed deck, or draft even if that's a thing you want to do. But I'll be rating cards explicitly based on their system and constructed. Number two, I will be very fair and just if I actually think a card is going to be good or not. And how the rating system is going to work, as I can show here with the first card, is going to be Arena Kingpin. I'll read the full card out, say what my few thoughts on it, and then I can give it a rating of either 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Now, if a card is 0, I will explicitly say it, otherwise assume that everything will be getting at least a 5-star. I don't think there's any cards explicitly that I think are a 0, but we'll talk about that as and when time. I stream live on Twitch 4 to 5 days a week, so if you want to check me out, you can find me in the description down below, or just type MaskedSwan into Twitch. But with that said, there are 221 cards for me to go through, including battlefields as well, so we've got a lot of cards, so let's just dive in with Fury. Our first card is going to be Arena Kingpin, which is a 5 cost and 3 might unit from Noxus, and it's a Yodel. He enters in ready, and he has Exhaust, give a unit, plus 3 might this turn. This is more than anything a limited card, and it's a fine limited card. It's pretty expensive, but it can put your opponents in rather difficult situations if they're not able to deal with it, especially if they want to defend and you can just give a plus 3 boost. Now, you do need to get at least 2 to 3 activations where you're probably winning combat or at least forcing cards out of your opponent, but even so, it's not a really busted effect. It's fine, it's fun. But beyond this, for Constructed, it's a 1 out of 5. It doesn't really have any place in Constructed. It's going to be far too slow. And for 5 and 3, all it does is give 3 might. There isn't enough utility really coming out of it. Unless there was a card in the future that gives you the ability to unexhaust and re-exhaust and unexhaust and like kind of really pump something up. Potentially that's an option. Maybe if a volley deck has that opportunity or something, but I'll be honest, I'm not really seeing it. Next card is Inferna, which is a 2 cost 1 might unit from Bilgewater. Has Ambush, which means you may play me as a reaction to a battlefield where you have units you control, and has Assault too. So, Inferna as a card allows us to kind of look at it and say, hey, if we're going in and we're attacking, I can have a bunch of extra might. Not great at holding, it's all about aggression and aggro. Great in limited, very much so. It's a great combat trick. And for 2 plus 3, it's kind of like adding a cleave, but you have a permanent unit otherwise. Now, would I play this over cleave or not? Now, that's a difficult question. Reason being is cleave, I can have a unit anywhere and then give it plus 3 attacking in. Meaning if it's ganking or at my base, I can do that. Whereas Inferno requires me to already have a unit going in and then doing this. It's not quite a comparison to apples to oranges. Obviously, you can defy a cleave where you can't defy an Inferno. So there are pros and cons. If anything, I think Inferno's going to see play in Rengar. And Rengar, with that ability to give plus 1 to a unit when you play them, or to another unit, means Inferno could be 4, or actually is a 3 plus 1 with that. With that said, I think Inferno is a 2 out of 5. Rengar is really the only home I can really see this in. Otherwise, I think it's going to be either a bit too cute or, at best, a one-off play in a lot of decks. Our next card is Mischievous Myra, a unit from Bilgewater, 2 for 2, and has Hidden, with the text saying, when you play me to a battlefield, deal 2 to an enemy unit here. So, obviously, this has to be flip over and to actually get the effect, meaning you do have to hide. The only cards really that are going to be working well with this would be something like Pike. Now, it's not terrible, but you are asking your 2 might unit, which you could totally play for tempo reasons, to then now hide and then flip over. It's a little janky, and it doesn't work brilliantly in a lot of spots. 2 damage also early on can already be outclassed by most, like some 2 drops, even 3 drops. And going forward, it becomes a little flimsy at best. I don't really see a place in the metagame at this moment in time, but it could be a fine limited card. So with that all said, I'm going to be giving Mischievous Myra a 1 out of 5. Our next card is Prepared Neonate. Is a unit from the Shadow Isles. It costs 3 and it's 1 might. And it reads, if you've spent 4 or more to play this spell this turn, I have +4 might. So the obvious home for this card in Constructed is going to be either Kaiser or Jin. These are the two colors that obviously stand out to me. And what I really want to emphasize is this works perfectly with Jin, right? It's how his whole legend ability works. So if you're going to get value, you could have a 5 might unit. The problem is, it very much is one of these cards which forces you to either do something on your opponent's turn or to hold up like 8 energy and then to do something on your turn and then to do something on your opponent's turn so you don't potentially lose the Neonate. Far better at swinging in and then hopefully not getting on the swing back, but it's a little clunky. It's also 3, meaning you can't play it on turn 1, which would be the obvious place that you would want to do this, meaning that you could have a 5 might unit swinging in on your turn 2. It only really works on the draw, meaning you're going to be forced to play on the draw. So with that all said, I'm going to give Prepared Neonate a 2. I could see a home and some very niche strategies, but at this moment in time, I just don't see a place that is realistically going to sit. Riftbound, the Lawkeeper, is a unit from Freljord. Costs 7 and 1 power, and for a 7 might unit, with ganking, which also says, when you play a spell, if you spent 4 or more, ready me. So again, just like our Neonate friend, we're wanting to look to play spells 4 or more. Now, Riftbound is a little bit slower because it is such an expensive unit. And if you're playing an expensive unit, you're not actually getting to play spells. And if your whole deck is based around playing spells of 4 or more, it means you're probably taking a turn off. Or you somehow got yourself up to 11. Now, obviously, if you're playing Jin and you have the Legend Jin and he's moving around a little bit, you can kind of cheat a little bit with energy and also runes. As well as with gold, there is a chance that potentially this is something that's very much a one-off playable, but the idea that you can play them, ready them, smash in, play another, smash in, especially in one turn, you could do a decent amount of movement, and it could be at a spot where your opponents won't be prepared. I do think it is very slow, and it's very expensive for what it is. So with that all said, I'm going to give this card a 2. I don't think this is going to see play out outside of Jin decks, and if it does, it's going to be like at most a one-off. Meaning that it can't really go above a 2 because it's not seeing ubiquity play or even above average play. Our next card is Sharkling. Sharkling is a unit from Bilgewater for 3 energy and 1 might. It has Accelerate for 1 and 1 red, and it has Assault 4. Now, this is a card that you should absolutely play in Limited. This card is so good in Limited. In your draft decks, you're going to be able to get a lot of power in, and it's really good in the draw. If you've got a lot of 3 might units, you might just start 3 costed units, rather. You should maybe just play on the draw all the time. That said, for Constructed, he's really expensive for not something that special. One of the best comparisons when I was first doing this, and I can't remember who said it, but in my Twitch chat, was that this is a Magma Rager. And if you know Magma Rager is a card from Hearthstone that is very flimsy, but very strong on one side, very weak on another side. This is what Sharkling is. It's a trap card that is good at maybe getting 1 unit immediately, hitting him for 5, maybe even more, but beyond that, it's not going to be doing much. But with that said, sadly, Sharkling is going to be getting a 1 out of 5. It just doesn't really show me an opportunity. Could be a fun in a budget red deck, but beyond that, I'm not really seeing it, sadly. Our next card is going to be Smite. Smite is a spell, or a summoner spell if you've played League of Legends, which costs 2 energy and 1 rune. It's at action speed, and it does deal 3 damage to a unit at a battlefield. It would die this turn. Banish it. Smite is, I'm just going to put it as it is, Smite is a 4 out of 5. This card is fantastic. It actually offers a way of removing something truly from it, and also doesn't trigger Death Knell. Smite is a card that we've needed in the game since, realistically, Origins, and the fact that we're getting it now Beautiful. Also, what's important is if it would die this turn, meaning Smite itself doesn't have to be the killing blow, which is rather common in a lot of other games, that if this did this, then you get hit. Smite just says, if it dies this turn, if it would die this turn, banish it instead. Opens up a well of possibilities where you could smite something early, try and trade in, they go no, you can then still, if you throw everything in, it will still get banished. Meaning, even if it does heal up from the smite damage in some weird capacity, or a Janna, it doesn't matter. So, Smite, in my opinion, fantastic card. It's not going to be meta warping, it's not a 5 out of 10, but Smite's going to see play. Watch out, Kaiser decks will run this. But potentially other red controlling based. Our next card is Towering Profant. Profant? It's fine. Unit from Shurima. It's cost 6 for a 6 might unit. It has Assault, and if a unit died this turn, I enter in ready. So this is interesting, right? Towering asks us if we can actually decide to have a unit trade off early to then gain additional might. If we decide to not do that, then it's not gonna really get half of the reason you'd want to play it. It is a 6 for 6, so it is on rate, and it's kind of okay because when you're attacking, it does gain an additional 1. Do I think this is going to find a home, though? No. It's still too expensive for really what it's doing. It's not doing a back-breaking effect, and it's not like you can ready it every time a unit dies. You can't just like start smashing it around a bunch. It's at best a 6 for 7 that probably gets to come in and attack the first turn, but then after the fact, it's just not going to be doing anything too special. So, as such, I'm going to be giving it a 2 out of. It's fine, but I just don't even see it really seeing much play outside of budget aggro decks. It's fine. It's probably better than a few. It's better than a Sharkling because at least normally something else is going to have to trade into it. Probably down. It will die, but you will probably get one something out of it before it dies. So it's fine, but it's not broken. Upstage Comedy. I'll do my ranking first. This card's busted. This card is busted. This card is so busted. Readying a unit is one of these abilities that everybody wishes they could have in their red decks. And I'm not even joking. This is one of the most powerful spells in the entire game. Simply put, Upstage Comedy is a spell for 2, which says ready a unit, but it also has repeat for 2. Ultimately speaking, being able to ready a unit or multiple units, being able to move in and then come back or do all sorts of shenanigans, we've already seen has been very powerful in Riftbound's history. Now, the fact is, readying a unit isn't quite a fair comparison to a lot of other cards. You could go, oh, well, it's kind of like Ride the Wind. Oh, it's kind of like Fight or Flight if you just want to ready and pull a unit back. There's no fantastic one-to-one comparisons. The sheer fact is, this offers an alternative way of doing movement, but it also allows you to have a unit come in, pay 2, smash in. Meaning that there is a lot of things that opponents are just not going to be able to play around. It also triggers for Jin with the repeat cost and all of those 4 cost, or wanting a spell to cost 4. Repeat makes it cost 4. Spent 4 in total on the spell. And the spell itself might be 2, but because you pay the repeat cost, it's 4. So Upstage Comedy does so much, and it's going to be a card that, in my eyes, is going to be a must-play card in certain decks. I don't think this is going to be one of the most broken cards. Maybe it should be more of a 4 out of 5, closer to Smite, but I love this card so much. So, heavily consider this one, ladies and gentlemen. Our next card is Vault Breaker. Vault Breaker is a spell for 1 and 1 rune, which can be played at action speed. Give a unit Assault 2 and ganking this turn. Vault Breaker is a very interesting card. I struggle to find a spot where the ganking and assault matter. The idea is obviously you play this onto a unit that you already either have at a battlefield or that you know will get re-readied somehow. Not sure on that one. I digress. There's a lot of parts in this spell which kind of work interestingly together. But at the same time, I don't really see it. Why would I not just play something like a Blood Rush or a Cleave? Unless I'm getting the ganking benefit, which is like, well, then I'm going to play this. It's maybe good for certain, like, really flickering in and out or re-readying and stuff. But I really just don't see a reason that they would also want to pay 1 power. There's a lot of things working for this, and there's a lot of things not working for this. Ultimately speaking, it's a very hard card to evaluate because I don't really know the deck it's going to fit into. So to be safe, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. I don't think the card is inherently bad. It's probably a slightly worse Cleave. But if the ganking proves to be very good, it's going to be slightly better than a Cleave. It's situational at best, and probably just going to be a one-off at most. But it's a card, and it's not terrible. It's a 3. It's a 3. Our next card is going to be Fresh Beans. Fresh Beans is a gear for 2, which reads, when you play a unit during a showdown, you may exhaust this to draw 1. And the reason I'm giving the rating ahead of time is I think Rengar is going to live or die by Beans. If Beans is a good, if Rengar is a good, it's because the engine of Beans being able to continuously just feed the sheer amount of decks. Ambush, if it's going to be a premier keyword in Unleashed, it's going to be because Beans is going to be that back engine that just lets you go draw 1, draw 1, draw 1. And it's not going to be drawing a huge quantity of cards, but potentially when you get 1 or even 2 Beans down in a game, you ambush with 1 card, tap, draw 2 cards, you're going to have a real thing going here. So Beans is going to either make a deck, or it's going to turn out that the decks aren't there to really support Beans, but Beans is still a very good card. Simply put, if you find a way of putting things in during showdowns, you're gonna be cooking. And this is going to be a card that people should absolutely be remembering. I can't give it a 5 because it is still a little bit like, what's the most polite way to put it? It could be just bait, but I'm willing to bite the bait pretty far. I think Fresh Beans is a great card, and it might redefine the whole format. And if it does, it's a 5, and kind of wild that this is the place that we've got to, considering we've just had the bannings of Spirit Forged, and that Fresh Beans might take over a format. Would be a little bit wild to say, but hey, I love the beans, respect the beans, Jack and the Beanstalk is going on. So, next card. Lord Broodmane is a 5 and 1 power for a 5 might unit, which has Ambush. Speaking of that, which also reads, when you play me, give your units here Assault this turn. +1 when attacking. Simply put, Lord Bane, I think, is not super great. If he's going to see play, it's going to be in a Volibear mid-range deck. But I think there's a different deck that you probably at least want to experiment with in that one. So, if that's the case, where does he really fit in? Well, it's limited, and then that's kind of it. He's not terrible, but it is a 5 for 1. Maybe it's actually a 1-star. Actually, you know what? It's a 1-star. He's very situational. You have to be attacking in to really benefit from the ambush, and I just don't see it. So yeah, 1 out of 5. I don't care for him. Our next card is Lotus Trap. Lotus Trap is a spell for 2, which reads hidden and has reaction. So you could also play this at any time, just like it was hidden. Versatile, which reads choose a unit, double all damage that will be dealt to it this turn. So I wanna, yeah, it's 0. This card is actually bait. I'm sorry, this card is mega bait. You have to 2 for 1 yourself. It is all damage dealt, but then you're probably throwing something in, losing that card, and then you're playing this card. This card 2 for 1s you, the player, casting the spell. You can't even benefit from playing it with like a Jhin. If you could somehow make it pay for 4, like you could target like 2 things, that would be maybe something where you could come around to it. Ultimately speaking, Lotus Trap is bait. It's a 0 out of 5. Do not play this card. Card is garbage. Card is garbage. Don't take the bait. Don't try and win with it. It's just play good cards. Just play good cards. Our next card is Monster Harpoon, which is a 1 and 1 power. It's at action speed. Deal 2 damage to a unit at a battlefield. If you control a face down card, deal 4 to it instead. So, Hextech Ray exists. So this is a situationally worse Hextech Ray. Or if you're having to play a card that is upside down, or rather hidden, I don't think we've got any other face down cards, really? Now that I'm thinking about that, that's an interesting thing. So potentially in the future, this might be a card where if you can have other cards face down that aren't hidden cards, don't know how that would work, deal 4 instead. It doesn't say it has to be there at least, but it's situationally worse, situationally better. Kaiser decks I'm going to play this, are going to keep playing Hextech Ray. So this is explicitly a Pike card. I don't think it's very good. I think the decks that really want to play this sort of thing can already play other cards, and unless you're really going to get to actually kill something for 4, isn't Hextech Raid probably just going to be as good? And then you'll have better removal spells as you go up the chain. So, Monster Harpoon is a cool design space, but probably isn't going to be seeing a lot of play. So I'm going to be giving it a 2 out of 5. It's perfectly fine, but the decks that could play it, why would they play it? And the decks that can play it, and the decks that don't want to play it, have no reason to play it otherwise anyway. So, sorry Harpoon. Our next card is Right to Conquest. It's a spell for 3 and 1 power. And reads, draw 1, then draw 1 for each battlefield you or your allies control. Why do I have to pay a power? It is red draw, so it is interesting in that regard, but the problem is it's very slow, very janky, and this is a multiplayer card. I'll be very real. This is a multiplayer card. It says you or your allies, you get to draw some cards, because you're playing a like a 2-on-2 game mode. This is where this is for. This is where this is for. This is not for one-on-one constructed. If you play this in constructed, you'll probably have got other problems, and almost every other color has better draw. If you're Rek'Sai, there's way better draw. If you're Darius, there's way better draw. If you're Vic, what else would you play? If you're blue, you have infinite better draw. So there's just no real reason. If you're purple, you've got infinite draw. So why would you play this over really anything else? I don't see how you would want to play this in orange, like orange-red decks. It's just not doing what I want it to do. So, Rider Conquest, 1 out of 5. Our next card is Scorchclaw, which is a unit from Noxus, and it's a doggy for 3 and 1 power for a 3 might unit. So that's just below rate, but it has Hunt 2, which means when I conquer or hold, I gain 2 experience, and XP is a whole mechanic that, if you're not aware, go and read about the patch notes for that so you can understand that in full. But it also has level 3. I gain +1 might and enter ready, meaning if you have level 3 or 3 experience in total, it's actually a 4 and readied unit. So, assuming you've been able to do a few other things ahead of time, Scorchclaw's kind of good. Do I think there's any decks that are really going to benefit from it? No. The most XP decks, I think, aren't going to really be doing this sort of thing. You're not playing Kha'Zix, you're not playing Yi, you're not playing Poppy. So I don't really see a reason to be doing this. While you could make Scorchclaw work, I'll be honest, it's a limited card. And as such, it gets a 1 out of 5. Sorry, you're a good boy. You're a fiery boy. But you're just not gonna be good card for me to play. Our next card is Square Up. Square Up is a spell for 4, which has repeat, where you may discard 1, which says, give a unit 4 assault fort this turn. Blood Rush exists. Why would I not just play Blood Rush? No, it's a 0. It's a 0. I'm sorry. The idea of like 2-for-1ing myself and then my opponent then just does any form of purple interaction, or just does any form of green interaction with a stun, or there's just so much where you just get 2-for-1 and it turns out nothing happens. and you just like go in and they go, oh, I'm just gonna not have this combat happen, or push your unit off, or do something else. If this card also gave like deflect 4 or 2 or something, just something. This card just doesn't do what it wants to do. I get it's a limited card, but as such, like for constructed play, this is so expensive and doesn't do anything. And I know what some people are saying. It works with Jin. Yeah, there are infinite other spells you'd rather cast with Jin. Do not play square up. Card is not good. In constructed. Our next card is Yeti Brawler. Yeti Brawler reads, when I conquer, if you assigned 3 or more excess damage, play 2 gold gear tokens exhausted. So, this is going to be a Vi card. The problem is, I don't think this card is good. As such, he's a 1 out of 5. He's a 6 for 6 unit, but that's just rate. You've got to try and find something that you're really going to smash over to actually get. And even if you do, you're only getting gold. Now, obviously, this will want to be played in Vi, but I just don't think, unless you've got the gauntlets, that this is going to really benefit you in a lot of cases. As such, Yeti Brawler just doesn't make sense to play. And I'm sorry to say, we can't. So, that's where he sits. Our next card is Blighted Battle Axe. Blighted Battle Axe reads gear, equipment, and it costs 4. It has equip for 1 and 1 power, red power specifically. And at the end of your turn, if you didn't conquer this turn, unattach this and then deal 4 to me. So it costs 4. You still have to pay another 1 and a power to equip it to give 4 might. Okay, that's a lot to just get 4, but it is permanent, but it's still not great. And then it's saying if you don't conquer, so if you're not routinely just smashing across, conquering, relying on your opponent to also give you an opportunity to do that, because if you also just get pushed back in some capacity, or combat doesn't happen, or stunned, or something, right? Anything like that, the units maybe die. And if they're not dying, you've placed it on a very highly might unit, which has now got an even bigger target on its back. This card also gets absolutely destroyed by any minus might spells, so meaning that your unit is now just prime for an opportunity. As such, it's a 1 out of 5. The card is like interesting design space wise, but it's very expensive to actually do anything and doesn't really slot into any obvious equipment based decks in red. As such, I just can't in good faith actually reliably say that in a metagame where blue has a lot of minusing might, green with stuns and similar ways of mitigating combat from happening or preventing it, and other decks just being more aggressive or able to go bigger, I just don't see a slot for it at this moment in time. So, 1 out of 5. Our next card is going to be Dancing Grenade. I was going to say Bouncing Grenade, but it's not. It's Dancing. It's a spell for 2 and 1 power, which says deal 2 to a unit. Its controller may play this spell again for power. If they do, deal 1 additional bonus damage each time this spell has dealt damage. So, really cool design space card. The idea that you pay a power, I'm paying this, I'm going to deal 2. They then may pay a power to then deal it back to me, but then I can pay a power and deal it back, and it goes back and forth until the one of us decides, that's enough. Now, is it good? Now, the problem is you could potentially do this with the hope that your opponent is going to bounce it back to you, and then they don't. I think this card is sadly a 1. There are so many opportunities where you're going to spend 2 in a power and you'll deal 2 to a unit, and then that's all that happens. Deal 2 to a unit, it's control. Yeah, so it's the controller. The opponent will just decide not to do it. They'll just take 2 damage, lose a unit, and then that's the card gone. Reason being is, why would they want to do 3 so that you could then potentially do 4? You're the one that's going to be playing it with all of the information, and you'll be able to sequence this and also float runes. I think this is one of these cards which looks really exciting from the get-go, and then people are going to play with it and then realize, I'm spending 2 in a power to deal 2, and then that's all that happens. it looks really cool and an incredibly thing, but I don't think many people, I think good players will decide and go, okay, yeah, I lose my random guy. That's it. That's it. Why would I let you? Because at that point, if you play this card and then they do send it back, okay, now you get to do 2 and 2 power, deal 2 damage to something and 4 damage to something. That's really good. Problem is, nobody really wants to give that opportunity cost to your opponent. As such, good players will decide not to. Bad, misinformed players or newer players will decide to push it back. And that's just it. Sadly, we'll have to see. But I'm open to being wrong. I hope, low-key, if Dancing Grenade proves to be a meta-defining card, flip it, and I'm fine with being taken out of context. Our next card is Grim Apothecary, which reads 3 and 3 might for a unit from Noxus, which has Ambush. When you play me, you may return a friendly unit at a battlefield to its owner's hand. So, this is a flicker effect. What this means is you are going to be able to replay on-play effects. It doesn't have any might, and at the point is, this card has ambush, meaning you can very much, if someone was expecting to kill one of your units, you can then flicker this in. You also don't have to return a friendly unit that's at that battlefield. Say, for instance, there are 2 battlefields. Your opponent is throwing everything into one battlefield to kill your big, expensive Watcher, right? You're playing red-blue. Your Watcher is now in a perilous situation. As such, you go, actually, I'm going to ambush onto my other battlefield, and then I'm going to pick up my Watcher. Is this Magical Christmas Land? Yes. But do I think Grim Apothecary actually has some design space? Absolutely. It's a 3. At most, it's probably only going to see 1 of play, maybe 2, but a full blue-red in my head at the moment on play deck seems pretty interesting. I don't think we actually really have a deck for that at this moment in time, but worth considering in the future. Our next card is Jin, Marvelous Artist. This card is cinema. I freaked out when I saw it. This card does so much. We just saw Draven get a ban, and I think Jin is maybe not as broken, but it's pretty good. He's pretty good. You gotta play Jin. This is so good, because when you move, Jin, Murderous Artist is a champion unit. Jin, Ionia, for 4 and 1 power is a 4 might unit. It has deflect, it has ganking, and when I move, you add 1 energy and 1 power. Meaning if you find a way to move him around a few times, oh buddy, you're gonna get so much value off of this. Card just opens up so many design opportunities. It just does everything. It just does so much stuff. As such, I think Jin is busted, and I love it. If this doesn't see play, I'm surprised and kind of sad that this is the metagame that we're in, but we'll have to see. Our next card is Katarina, Reckless. Is a champion unit, Katarina Noxus, which is for 5 and 1 power for a 5 might unit, which reads, when you hide a card, ready me. So this is a pike card, realistically. And whenever you play a card face down, deal 2 to an enemy unit. So, this very much doesn't ask where it has to be. You can play this at any location for Katarina. You can also, for Katarina to do the damage. Katarina also has this very opportunistic play pattern where you play her and then you can ready her because you play one, play another one. You get to use the pike gold that you've been generating. You can replay the pike because they're hidden from your chosen champion. There's a lot of interesting, cool stuff you can do. Is this going to be really good? Well, it really depends on how good the pike hidden deck is. In my opinion, I think it's going to be a good deck, but not a meta-defining deck. It'll just be something that's probably in the A tier. As such, I'm going to give Katarina a tepid 3. It might be the engine that actually makes pike really good. It also might just be like it sees one of play or sideboard play for certain matchups. The problem is you do need to actually just keep have card draw for this to actually generate a lot of value, because every time you're doing this, you are spending a card which is now not going to be able to trigger Katarina in the future. You'll also want to use the effects to actually really move her around. The problem is, if you're against certain decks which are really good at holding, Katarina kind of just goes, just move back, and I'm not moving anywhere else, because until I can kill this other battlefield, I can't do it. So, she's fine, but I don't think she's going to be absolutely broken. So, that's where we sit. Katarina, 3 out of 5. Our next card is Rengar Unseen. A champion unit, Rengar, Cathion Kitty. He's a cat. For 4 and 1 power, for a 4 might unit, which reads Accelerate, Assault 2, Deflect, and Ganking. He does a lot, but not quite as much as Jhin. Jhin having the efficiency of like mana, energy and rune cheating is doing so much. Now, Rengar has got, obviously, Assault 2, so he can hit a lot harder. And that was half of the reason why we saw Draven get banned. But Draven also was doing that on defense, which is half of the problem why he got a ban, and also gave you gold, so he was free. This costs you a power. I think Rengar Unseen is a very unique card, and I don't know... This is one of the harder cards, because inherently you look at it and it's got a bunch of abilities, so instinctively I want to be like, this is very good. But to accelerate him, he's 5 and 2. That's really expensive. So unless you've got a way of getting gold out, or you're playing red seals and you're really getting the value, it's like, fine. He's fine. He's fine. Ultimately speaking, you probably just want to play him for 4 and 1 red, but then I ask the question, is he better than Kai'Sa? No. This is where I come down to it. So I think he's a pretty good card, but I don't think he's going to be meta warping. And if he is, it's because the Rengar deck is playing him as a chosen champion, and playing this on turn 2. It's just really good. Deflecting Ganking's very powerful, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't want to pretend it's not. And with other cards such as Upstage Comedy, this guy could run around a battlefield and absolutely control the thing. So keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Our next card is Undying Legion, which is a unit from the Shadow Isles Spirit, 3 for 3 might, which reads, Legion, you may pay me from your trash for 3 and 1 hour. So this really comes down to saying, is it good to be able to play something from your discard? Historically speaking, in other card games, yes. Yes, it's very, very good. So, is this the sort of thing you want to play all the time? What deck does it slot into? At this moment in time, there are literally tens of different versions trying this out. Do I think any of them are good? Yeah, kind of, sort of, maybe. So, as this, I'm going to be just safe and give it a 3 out of 5. I don't actually think at this moment in time he'll be meta warping. I think it actually might take until an Eternal format to be meta warping. But it will happen. At this moment in time, though, it's probably a little bit slow. It'll see Fringe play in like tier 2, like A tier, maybe more likely B tier decks, which are playing this, but like, it's not Phoenix. It's not doing crazy powerful things. It's just a value thing. Now, obviously, if there's ever a card in the future which says, hey, cards in your trash cost 2 less, 3 less to play, suddenly this boy becomes A tier, discard package, go, go, go card. But at this moment in time, yeah, he's fine. He's fine. He's just a bit expensive. Our next card is Xerath. Breed. Is a champion unit, Xerath from Shurima. Costs 5 for a 5 might unit. And has red power, exhaust, deal 3 damage to a unit. Use this ability only while I'm at a battlefield. So, he's like, kind of okay. But like, he's got the Caitlyn effect, but he doesn't have backline. There's like a lot of things I like about the idea of Xerath. And whenever I look at a card like this, Heimerdinger is always a card that always gets shouted at me. But at this moment in time, I just kind of don't really see the way that Xerath works. Now, if we could potentially give him, if we could protect him in some capacity, maybe. But as it currently stands, He just feels like he's one of these things where it's like, I just don't see it. I'm going to give him a 1, but it's also one of these things where in the future he could go to a 3 or even a 4. But as it currently stands in this format, and I don't even think there's a lot of speculative in the short-term future, there's a 1. But I would give Caitlyn a 1 as well. But they're both cards which could absolutely change given the right time. And by the way, this is absolutely design space they are going to be playing with in the future. So, for now it's a 1 because it is a 5 for 5. You could play this in Volibear. That's just a 5 for 5. And then we'll see. Moving on to our next card, it is Invicious Vox, which is a unit, Mount Targon, Dragon. It's a dragony boy. For 8 and 2 power, for an 8 might unit, which reads, when I conquer, give a friendly unit +8 this turn. So... it's White Flame, but red. But not White Flame, because it does its own special thing. This is part of the whole rather wider idea of playing a big dragon and getting a big effect. This is worse than White Flame. I have said countless times that White Flame will be just power creeped out of the game. And as expected, it already basically has now. This is not good. We're not going to play this card. This card is bad. It's very expensive. And I guess unless you're able to play an explicit dragon deck, which also makes everything a lot cheaper, it's that. It's just that. It's just that. So... yeah, it's a 1. It's a 1. It's just not good. The effect is also very transparent. Unlike White Flame, where you get to at least play it and then do it onto something, you have to conquer to get this ability. And the dragon himself has to conquer. Don't play the dragon. It's not a good boy. Our next card is Pike, Dockside Butcher. For 3 and 2 might, is a champion unit, Pike from Bilgewater. He has hidden and has ganking, and reads, you may pay power, red power specifically, as an additional cost to play me. As an additional cost. Okay, so, when you play me, if you paid an additional cost, you may ready me, and leave the +2. So, the idea of going 3 and 1 power, you actually get to have a 4 might unit coming in and attacking for 2. It also reads that you could also flip this over in combat, pay the power, and while it would be, the ready isn't really necessarily necessary, you get 2 might. But it also has the ganking, so if your opponent hasn't conquered where you hid Pike, you could just reveal him, pay the power, smash across for 4, and then potentially look to bounce back with the Pike champion or legend, right? There's a lot of like utility and readiness with Pike. There's a lot of really cool stuff where you could just play him for 3 and just have a 4 might unit smashing in and then look to flicker it back to your hand. You could also just play this hidden. There's a lot of like tricks of the trade that you can do with this. Very smokes and mirror and very thematically good. I think Pike Dockside Butcher is a 4. I do think specifically it's only realistically going to be played in Pike, but 3 for 4 power very early on in a game cycle, very powerful, highly synergistic with itself, and lots of opportunity to even be played in further decks and beyond because of hidden. Pike is a real card, and personally, if I want to do just small hint to something, I think he's the better one out of the 2. Our next card is gonna be Red Brambleback, or Red Buff. Red Buff for my League of Legends friends out there. Is a champion unit from Ionia. For 4 and 1 power, for 4 might, has Accelerate, and your Conquer effects for conquering here trigger an additional time. When I conquer, buff a friendly unit. This is a Lucian card. This is going to be only good in Lucian, because you can get the Trinity Force and other effects to happen a bunch more. This is funny. I like this card. I'm going to give it a 4. I don't think Lucian is now going to be S tier, mega, oh my god. But red buff is really, really good. Like, really, really good. Like, considering the idea that you can really accelerate a lot of things if you do have conquering effects, which you can build your whole deck around now at this point. There is just enough where you're going to be able to go over the top and do far more than what people are expecting. Especially because this says accelerate, you could very much play this from your hand for 5 and 2 power. It's expensive in that regard, right? But if you're able to smash in and really overtake somebody in a situation where they didn't expect to be outplayed in that regard, red buff is going to take over spots. And the fact is, when you conquer buffer-friendly unit, that happens twice just through red buff himself. So, I love the boy. Good boy. He can buff himself, buff something else, easily go to 5 might, potentially with a Trinity Force, absolutely take over with points, even more with if you've got the Starfall. Card's great. I love red buff. Great boy. Great buff. Our final red card is Vi Hothead, which reads champion unit Vi Zon for 4 and is a 3 might unit, which has deflect and for 2 and 1 red, double my might this turn. I don't think this is the best. I don't think this is the best Vi, but this Vi definitely opens up a lot of opportunities for attacking. It also works very well with the gauntlets as well as the Vi Legend. So I think Vi themselves, especially this Vi explicitly, is more than anything missing ganking. If it had ganking as well as deflect, or deflect 2, I feel like it would be a lot better. At this moment in time, though, I just feel like it's just missing that just one extra thing to push it over the top. I don't know if this is necessarily the best one, but there's just so many things where you try and really throw a bunch into this, and then it doesn't really work. Like, yeah, totally. If you throw in 4 and 2 power, it can go infinite. It can just do so much might on its own. But you kind of want to build your monster to then attack in, and that's not always going to be as simple, especially if your opponents have any interaction. As such, Vi is going to get a 3 out of 5. It's a really cool card with interesting design space and could take over a game. It's just missing that one thing that pushes it into a 4/5. And depending on what that would have been, it could have gone even further. It could have gone into a 5 and been very comfortably. As such, just think it costs too much for the ability. It's only got deflect 1, and it's so easier to interact with that I just can't in good faith go further. So, that's fine. Starting off with our green cards. Combat Experience is a spell for 1 with reaction. Give a unit 1 might this turn. At level 6, give 3 might this turn. So, it's a 3. It only even gets a 3 because XPE will play this card. It's really good there. Otherwise, almost every other deck will just play On Guard, which in my opinion is a 4 out of 5 card. So, Combat Experience has to be worse than that, but in the right deck, it's really good. In every other deck, it's garbage, but it does have a slot. Combat Experience is a 3. That's it. What more do I say? Double Trouble is a spell for 2. Green spell, which has repeat. Look at the top 3 cards of your main deck. You may reveal a unit from among them and draw it. Recycle the rest. So, cards playable. This is green draw. This is genuine green draw and actually some cycling. But it costs 4. But if you do it twice, you get to find 2 units out of the top 6 cards of your deck. So, what this basically says is, for 2, realistically 4, you can now look at the top 6 cards of your deck, take 2 units from them, and then get rid of the rest. Now, if you're kind of like a combo deck, or you're very much like trying to search for very specific stuff, card's pretty good. If you're just a value deck, card's more like okay. I'm gonna give this a tepid 2. It is green draw, which is kind of cool, but at the same, and it doesn't have any power, which makes it honestly a bit more playable. At the same time, unless you're like a toolbox deck and you're looking for very explicit cards, why would you want to play this? It's kind of not it's not a card that you inherently necessarily want to play. And let's be real, if it was like 3 and 2 power, but let you play one of them for free, suddenly it'd actually be really interesting. It's just not doing quite enough, and there's not an obvious deck for it otherwise. So for now, it's a 2. Frisky Hunter. God, look at that little Warwick claw. Anyway, is a unit Zon Cat. 4 energy for 3 might, which reads, when you play me, play a 1 might 3rd unit token with deflect. Here, this is an Ivan card. This is for Ivan. I guess Double Trouble is probably an Ivan card as well. Anyway, I digress. Risky Hunter is going to be a card that will either make or break low-key Ivan decks. Being able to play a 1 unit and you actually get 2 techs that you're looking for, really useful. Thing is, I don't think Ivan's going to be that good. And also, it's only a 4 for 3. You are still getting 4 might, so it's 4 for 4 on rate, but that's basically it. Cards are 2. It's fine. It's not going to see play anywhere else. It's kind of good and limited, honestly speaking. But outside of that, I wouldn't play them. It's fine. It's fine. A good cat. I love the cat, but not much further than that. Herald of the Spring is our next card. It's a unit from Ionia for 4 and 1 power for a 4 might unit, which has Hunt. When you conquer or hold, gain 1, and when you play me, you gain 2. So this might be an XP Yeet card. It also might just be way too expensive and slow, fundamentally speaking, to be an XP Yeet card. That's really the only slot it's going to go into. Do I think it's really good? It's like fine. Realistically, you're probably going to get 3. Best case scenario, 4 XP. 4 XP is like, this is going to be a very good card. 3 XP, it's fine. It's good. Good even. 2 is just getting a player and then you never get any more from it. Not that exciting. So, Herald of the Spring is fine. It's a 2. I don't think it's going to be the backbone of a lot of XP decks. It's asking you to spend 4 and a power. It's the power where I have the issue with it here, because it does stunt your tempo a little bit, which is going to be XPG's whole workaround. It's fine. I just worry that it's going to be you're doing a lot where other decks are going to be doing just as exciting things on the first few turns. It's at least on the play pretty good. On the draw, it's going to feel a little bit bad. So I'll give it a 2 for now. The other reason I give it a 2 is because it can only be played in Yi. Otherwise, it's just not going to be there. So I can't in good faith give it a higher ranking than that unless the card is absolutely bonkers broken. Our next card is Munch. Munch is a unit from Battle City. 6 for 6 might and 6 energy. And if an opponent controls a stunned unit, I cost 2 less and enter ready. So the obvious place is a lot of people are assuming is that you could play this in Vex or Leona. Problem is, realistically, it's only Vex, and if you're playing Stun Vex, you would like to have something more than just 4 energy for a 6 might unit, but why are we going through all these hoops to do all of this? Ultimately speaking, Munch is a very interesting card for limited. It's a very strong limited card. But it's really unexciting, and knowing that you're having to take up a slot in your deck for a card that, if you haven't got your engine going, is kind of useless, and it's a dead draw, I just can't say that you play it. You have to set up to play him, or rather, also have your opponent sometimes stun. Stun is a thing you sometimes want to do defensively, not offensively. Knowing that you have to play offensively now means you don't get to do stun when it's best defensively, meaning you're forcing the hold. So, I'm gonna give him a 1. Sadly, he just doesn't really feel like he works with a few of the strategies that you would typically want to work with them. Artwork is terrifying, though. Good job to the artist. Mutated Mouser is a unit from Bilgewater Cat for 2 and 1 power, has shield and tank. Kitty is solid, really solid. It's going to be a backbone for Ivan and potentially other green-based decks. Like, you could see this being played in Ari decks for sure. Not all green-based decks, though, however. Tank is really nice. Shield is really nice. You just need to get it onto a battlefield, and then the Mouser is going to be very good at protecting you. Is it going to be broken meta-defining? No, there's another green card at 2 that I think will be far more meta-defining, at least in green decks. So Mouser is one of these cards that I imagine would have seen a lot of play in older versions. Old Yi would be really good, as my Twitch chat has mentioned out to me. But at the same time, I just worry that there's probably other things that people want to be doing in their decks. So Mouse is fine. It's 3. It's a 3. But it's not going to go higher than that, and most likely will not see ubiquity, sadly. Oh, but play it in Ivan. I'm just going to shout that out every time I can. Shadow Watcher. Shadow Watcher is a unit from Ionia for 4 and 1 power for a 5 might unit, which reads, if a friendly unit died during this beginning phase, I enter in ready. So I want to play this in LeBlanc, but I can't. Oh, so this is a Lilia card. Do I really want to be doing all of this stuff so that I can set up? Now, obviously, this works really, really well if you're able to set up perfectly for Shadow Watcher to be a 4 and 1 for 5 might to enter in and smash. I think there's probably better things you could be doing, especially in constructed play. As such, I'm gonna give him a 1. I just can't in good faith go, oh, entering in ready is really, 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 really good when my sprites are already 3 might. If I can get more than 1 extra sprite going, it's really good. It's designed explicitly for Lilia, but it's, there feels like the Lilia package wants to do so many other things. Is Shadow Watcher just a value thing, or is it an actually good thing to do? At this moment in time, I don't know, but just looking at it, I go, well, 9 times out of 10, if I don't lose a sprite, it's just going to be a 4 for 5, and that's it. It's slightly above rate, but I'm not getting any value from it. So, I can't give it better than that. Skyward Strike is a spell for 2 energy and 1 green power. Move an enemy unit. So Charm. But at level 6, stun an enemy unit. So, ultimately, I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty solid. But I can't in good faith go Charm, but I have to be at level 6. So, meaningfully, it is an XPE card. And when it comes to XPE, is this card actually going to be solid and worth playing in it? Probably, chat. But beyond that, do I think it's going to be really, really good in XPE? I think this is probably like a 1 to 2 of card. There's so many other spells you probably also want to play in XPE, as well as the shell of XPE, and then payoff cards for XPE, which I guess this is part of one of, so it gets to double dip in that regard. So, I'm going to give XPE a 3 out of 5. It's pretty good. It's worse, more expensive Charm, but it has stun. And if you've ever been a Leona gamer, you know stun's good. The biggest takeaway from this card, which maybe might even push it down to a 2 for me, is it's not action. And if it was action, suddenly I'm in love. But it's not. So, I don't know. Next card is Soul Sword. Soul Sword is a gear equipment for 1 energy, which reads equipment green, or power, and has level 3. I have an additional 1 might. So the hope is Soul Sword gets to give 1 might, well, realistically, 2 might to a unit. So 2 might for 1 is basically a Doran's Blade. It's basically a Doran's Blade. Wait, it's just green Doran's Blade. But I can also play Doran's Blade in Yi if I wanted to. Why am I working so hard to just play a Doran's Blade in my deck? It costs 1. Doran Blade costs 2. It costs 1. I'm gonna give it a 1. I'm sorry, in good faith, I can't give it above that. In a lot of situations, it's not the cost difference between 1 and 2 it's not massive enough or really going to change a lot of sequencing, especially early on where it's like a 1 and then if you go on turn 1, you're going to play a soul sword. Unless you're playing something else as well, you're not really benefiting. So then on turn 2, if you play this, it would be, you could play at least a 3 cost unit and this. But I'll be honest, I need to see more. And I'm not getting more. So I'm just going to give it what I see it. Next card is Wuju Apprentice. Wuju Apprentice is a unit from Ionia for 2 and 2 might, which reads Hunt, and at level 6, when you play me, draw a card. So it's a 2 for 2. And then beyond that, it's sometimes drawing a card. It's an XPE card. I'm going to give it a 2 for 2 because it is a 2. Which sometimes draws a card, but also sometimes just doesn't do anything. And that's fine. Like, in these sort of tempo-based decks, sometimes you are just going to have to slam the card immediately and get it. Sometimes it's just not going to do anything. It's also being beaten out by a way better 2-drop. I'm not going to lie. There's a better 2-drop that draws a card immediately, and I don't have to go through hoops. But this does have Hunt. So it does actually keep its value, and there will be reasons to play it in the XPE deck. So keep it in mind. Our next card is Ally, Eager Admirer. It's a unit from Battle City Yodel, and for 3 and 3 might, which reads Deflect. And when I'm at a battlefield, other units here have Deflect. So this is a really cute card. 2, Deflect has already been proven to be a pretty powerful ability to put on units, but they're very hesitant to go too far with it. Ali basically goes, nah, everybody can have Deflect, I don't mind. Even if you do her, everything's going to have to be it. So I'm going to give Ali a 3. 3 for 3 for 3. There's no reason not to. Works so well with hold decks and stun decks, Vi decks, as my Twitch chat has pointed out. So much is just so good about Ali. But is she going to be a backbone corner piece to everything? No. No, God no. But is she going to be fun? And will it also cause a lot of opponents to suddenly go, how do we actually go over the top of this? And suddenly realize, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay like 2 to 3 power just to fight through this. All because of Ali? Yeah. And especially if you get more than one of her at a battlefield, people aren't going to be liking you. So, Ali gets a 3. Our next card is Back Off. It's a green spell for 3, which has hidden, action, and it reads Stun a unit. But it also has another line of text, which says, if you played this from your hand, draw 1. It also has the second best flavor text in Unleashed. I'll let you know when the first one comes on, but ew. Just from Vex, with this artwork. With the card name being Back Off, there's so, like, a full flavor win. This card a full flavor win. It would be a 5 out of 5 if you just did flavor. But I also rate cards. So we're going to be giving this a 3. Sadly, Back Off, like, does a lot right, but at the same time, Stun has been proven to be a mechanic that is sometimes a bit too expensive. If this was a 2, it'd be almost like a 4 to a 5. The problem is, I just need it to be a little bit sweeter to not just see play in Vex decks. Now, I am considering and playing this around with this in my Leona decks. It's, like, so good. But there's just something in my head telling me that this might be a little bit worse. But with the bans, now knowing that Fight or Flight isn't around, I'm actually going to go to a 4. I'm going to go to a 4. Purple decks are nowhere near going to be anywhere near as busted. Actually, this is better. This is now better because we don't have this. I'm going to switch around and go to a 4. I forgot that Fight or Flight's gone, meaning that this is actually way better. It's not a busted card, but very playable. Super playable, actually. Way more than I was originally doing it when I was first doing my deck building. So, actually, Back Off comes back in. Let's keep it going. Oh, well, this is not a good card. It's Enthusiastic Promoter, which is me half the time about Riftbound. But it's a unit from Battle City and it's a Yodel for 3 for a 2 might unit, which has backline, and when you hold, buff all units here. Why am I playing a card that doesn't do anything? It doesn't do anything 9 times out of 10. It's got to be the one holding. It's a card that it's like, oh, I'm playing this. It's only 2 might, and I've got to have other things defending it, and then I've got to be really good at protecting it. And if I don't do this, I just kind of lose. Promoted's bad, and I don't feel bad. Next card is Flurry of Feathers. Reaction well, it's a spell which has 4 and 2 power, which reads reaction, choose 1, counter a spell, or play 4 and 4 1-bird unit tokens with deflect. So there is a combo with this card. I've been told the combo where you can win almost instantly with Vex, where you play this at as a reaction speed, and then you play this onto the battlefield, where if you have 7 units or more, you get to win the game. You play this battlefield, you hold with it with Vex, you basically mean you get like 2 or 3 points, whatever, and then you play Flurry of Feathers randomly, and then you win the game. Or as your opponent is probably tapping out to do something big, and you just go, oh, I'm just going to play 4, and they expect you to counter, and you go, no, 4 birds, playing them all here. Like, stare at your opponent, and they go, oh. And you go, yep, beginning phase, win. And they go, yeah. Otherwise, do I think Flurry of Feathers is really good? It's super cute. It's a funny card that is giving us an interesting design space. Or you could just do something and just win games. Flurry of Feathers operates in a very weird way. Sometimes it feels like it's going to be really good. Sometimes it feels like it's worse. It's 1 more energy for a Wind Wall. So Wind Wall is arguably getting power crept out. And does at least have some utility, where if you get into a stalemate and both players are just in top deck mode, Flurry of Feathers suddenly goes, oh, I can just pass my opponent if they don't do, if they play anything. They do anything, I can do this. Or, alternatively, I can just go Flurry of Feathers, make 4 bird tokens, pass, untap, go in, conquer, maybe look to win the game. It's a more options card. As such, I'm going to give it 3. It's hard to say that, oh my god, because it has this random thing where you can play it in Vex control decks and then look to just win 1 game out of the 3 because of stupid battlefield shenanigans, that this card is broken. It's not. You can also just counter this yourself if you're playing green or purple. Whatever. Very much Vex cards. But at the same time, it's pretty good. The problem is with how opportunity to actually cast this spell actually works, because if your opponent doesn't play anything, you don't get to do something at the end of the turn, say for instance Magic the Gathering, but also you if they literally play like a unit which doesn't have an ability triggered, you don't get to have an opportunity to do anything. So due to partly how the rules work, Flurry of Feathers doesn't get a 4. If you had these opportunities, then I would actually be like Flurry of Feathers gets an opportunity, actually probably gets a 4. But because of how the game design works, it gets a 3. Weirdly, it gets nerfed because of the game. Our next card is Forgotten Signpost, which is a gear for 2. Action, exhaust a unit you control, which also then reads, move a different unit you control to the location of the unit you exhausted to play this ability. You're doing a lot of movement, but not a lot of stuff. This card's cute. This card's fun. But you're doing a lot to not do much. Just gonna say it as I see it. This card seems like it could be really good, but you're playing a card that doesn't inherently do anything when you play it. You are relying on complete other board states to actually be far more interesting. Very similar to Enthusiastic Promoter. On its own, card does nothing. The card needs to have so much going on for it to actually work. And yes, Magical Christmas Land, this card is really, really, really good. But if you have an opponent that interacts remotely with you, card suddenly starts looking a lot worse. So, in good faith, I can't give Forgotten Signpost an actual good rating. Friendship has one of the cutest artworks in this set. For one, friendship is a green spell that costs 1, which says choose a unit. Give +1 might this turn for each of the following tags among units you control. Bird, cat, dog, poro. So it's like a 1 to a 2. I don't know where I sit on this. You know what? I'm going to give it 2 simply due to the artwork. It's a 1 because this is only going to see play in Ivan. But, I mean, this artwork's pretty cute. So it gets a star just for that. Don't hate me. Our next card is Moss Stomper for 3 and 1 power for a 3 might unit. Onyxian dog? Icathiel dog. Whatever. Not important, the tags. Anyway, it is a doggy boy for technically, Ivan? Yeah? Anyway, Hunt 2, level 3. At level 3, I have +1 and Deflect, and it has Hunt 2. So this card is 4 XPE. This is one of the really interesting cards, which gives you 2 Hunt. So 2 Hunt is actually really, really good. It does have a power, so it sucks a little bit. I'm going to give Moss Stomper a 3. Simply for being a 3 for 3, that also lets you go really powerful. The dog text is interesting. Maybe it sees play in Ivan. And actually going second, it's really good. So, yeah. Also, if you do somehow have 3 level 3 already, 4 might and Deflect is pretty powerful. So, and it's also reasonable that you could hit level 3 when you're conquering in with this, which then means it's 4 and now Deflect as you're holding. So, I like the boy. Good boy. Good doggy. Mossy boy. Our next card is Trevor Snoozebottom. It's a unit Ionian for Yordle for 3 and 3 might. As shield, and when I hold, you may play a readied sprite unit token with temporary here. I'm gonna be real. 5 card for name, 5 card for flavor text. It's a 1 out of 5 card. I feel bad because I really want it to be good. The problem is, Mr. Snoozebottom is for Lilia decks, right? But then you play it in the Lilia decks, and you have to hold with it. So as such, you kind of look at it, and then you get the 3 might unit, but then you have to pull that 3 might unit back. Well, you pull him back, and then you just leave the sprite. The idea of that he's leaving these little sprites as he's snoozing around, which is like kind of cool. But is it actually good? I'm gonna say no. I might be wrong, but I'll be surprised if Mr. Snoozebottom sees any play. Yeah. My next card is Honeyfruit. It's a gear for 2. This enters in Exhausted. As reaction, you can add a power, and at level 6, so XPE, has reaction, you can add 1 energy and 1 power. I don't think this is going to be a card that sees play at release. I don't think this is a card that will even see play in Constructed. So, I'm going to give it a 1. But I want a big asterisk. Massive asterisk. This card at some point will be busted. It will. It just will. We're just not that. And I just want it to be very fair. Seals are just better in a lot of situations than this at this moment in time. But at some point, we will have an easy way of getting to 6, or we'll just want more ways of doing Honeyfruit. So, the fact is you don't have to cycle to play Honeyfruit. So if you can find a way of like tapping on tapping, tapping on tapping, tapping on tapping, tapping on tapping, Honeyfruit explicitly, you can make a bunch of rune, and you don't have to do anything else for it, potentially. So for now, Honeyfruit is a 1, but there is a bunch of stuff that could go crazy mode with this. So I'm just like watching this card going, I don't think it's good now, but just wait. It also might be an Eternal format card as and when we get that. I swear to God, they pick names that just want to troll me. Icicle. Sure, we're going to say that. Is a unit from Bilgewater for 7 and 1 power for a 6 might unit, which reads, when I hold at the start of your main phase, you may move an enemy unit to this battlefield. You ever look at a card that you go, I really hope that it would just be a little bit better. You never get like a little bit disappointed. If this was just 6 and no power, I could see this. I could maybe see this being like good even. I'm just disappointed. And I don't blame them. The one, there's so much potential here. It just costs so much. And it's just missing. It's just missing something. Even if it just said draw a card when you play me, suddenly I'd be like, this card's way better. It just doesn't. So, yeah. Our next card is Ivan. Oh god, block of text. Which reads Champion Unit Ivan Ionia for 5 and 1 green for 4 might. It reads, when you play me, or when I hold, look at the top 3 cards of your main deck. You may reveal a unit from among them and draw it. Recycle the rest. Then, if you revealed a bird, a cat, a dog, or a poro, you may do this. Buff a friendly unit. It is 5 and a power for a 4 might unit that says draw, in theory, in an Ivan deck that says draw a card and buff. There is also a world where you miss. Like, just a world, because you will not just play only units. And maybe you just play a unit deck so you never miss, but, like, Daisy doesn't even trigger off of this. So, we're going to give it a 1, and we're going to move on. Sad, man. This Ivan, so much potential. Nami! Headstrong is a champion unit. What does it say? Mount Targon? Something else. I'm sorry, chat. 1 second. 1 second, everybody. Nami. Oh, it literally says Nami. Oh, too small for me to see. Nami, Mount Targon, for 3 and 3 might. So that is on rate. You may pay green as an additional cost to play me. So we're getting more of this opportunity cost in this set. When you play me, if you paid the additional cost, stun an enemy unit. When I hold, the next time you play a unit this turn, ready it, buff it. I like Nami. I really like Nami. I don't know where she slots, but I feel like you could absolutely build a stun-based deck or something that works with Nami. I'm just not smart enough to figure it out. And that problem is, if it's not coming to me immediately, I have the slight opinion that Nami is probably fine. Probably not broken, but not having backline, not having a protection thing, not having some way that she gets okay. And you do, when you play me, if you play the additional cost, stun an enemy unit, but it's also like when I hold the next time you play a unit, like there's so much that like feels really good, but it's just not quite there. I'm gonna give it a 2. I want this to be so much better, and maybe it is actually a 3. But at this moment in time, Nami just feels like it's missing just 1 extra line, probably backline, but it also could be something where it's like, deflect, you know? Just some way to just make it a little bit more difficult for your opponent to interact with Nami. As it stands, Nami is going to be given a 3, but I do feel like potentially Nami might just fall into a spot where she ends up not seeing much of any play. Scuttle Crab. It's a 5. It's a 5! He's a 2 might. He's 2 and Scuttle Crab is a unit bilge water. 2 for a 0 might unit. 0 might units can conquer and hold. When you play me, draw a card. He cycles himself as you play him, and then when he dies, you get to draw. You get to look at your opponent's card, and you get an experience. The experience is whatever, but it's hilarious because it's so good for XPE. Card is broken, and I used to run the LGL production. I'm a DFM enjoyer. So seeing a Scuttle Crab. Obviously, I think of Crabber memes. If you know, you know from that world. My boy. This is my boy. I love him. Oh, I love him so much. Every green deck will run this, by the way. Every green deck will run this. Card's insane. Nothing more to be said. Fantastic design. Trixie Tentacles is a green spell for 4 and 1 power. Move any number of enemy units with the same controller and total might of 8 or less to a single location. Meaning you can push things off, pull things on, mix things around. You could make it so you're just going to win it. Trixie Tentacles is one of these cards that you could absolutely play as a one-of in your sideboard versus certain players, and you're going to throw them off. I think this is a card that absolutely should see play, but it is a one-of sideboard card. So how do you rate a one-of sideboard card? You give it a 2. You go, this is sometimes going to be a 5 out of 5 card, but only in the right spots versus the right decks, right? Versus like Vex control decks. You go, oh, I'll play my Trixie Tentacles, push off your Vex and something else. And then they go, suddenly the Vex player goes, oh, I wasn't playing around Trixie Tentacles. Now it can be defied. So sometimes it's just going to be like 4 power and then it gets defied and you go, oh, cool. But at the same time, this card could be really, really good, but not consistently good. That's why it doesn't get a 3. So yeah, we like the tentacles, and also this is really cute little artwork. I want this as a plush. He just looks so happy. I want to be that happy all the time. Vex is our next card. Vex Mocking is a champion unit. Vex from the Shadow Isles and is a Yordle. For 5 and 1 power for a 5 might unit, which has shield, tank. When you stun an enemy unit at a battlefield, you may move me to that battlefield. Meaning that Vex is very good at moving around quickly and efficiently. Also, whenever it has, with tank, it also means it's going to be harder for other units to be killed. With the shield, it also means it's going to go up to 6. And because of stun, if you play this in Vex or Leona, the obvious 2 stunning champions, Vex will go up to a 7 in Leona, or it's going to be very hard because of the sheer quantity of stunning effects and consistently in Vex herself that you're not going to be losing it. This card is just kind of gross. I'm going to give it a 4. It might not see a lot of play in Vex itself, but I'm heavily considering this in Leona. The fact is that you can have a unit that can be moved from one battlefield to another to then back something up. Just simply saying yellow Leona or yellow Vi in this set, which we'll talk about later. Busted. Very powerful cards. So, yeah. Should see play. Our next card is Yuumi. Goes to 1 and then goes to 0. Yuumi, terrible. Yuumi is a magical cat. Yuumi, Vandal City, Fae, cat, 3 and 1 power for a 1 might unit, which says, when I attack or defend, give one of your other units 3 might and tank here this turn. Yuumi should have been gear. Just make it gear. Like equipment gear or something. There's so much that's wrong with this. It's also not particularly exciting. I just, nah, you have to just hope that it doesn't die. So no, Yuumi's not good. Our next card is Alpha Wildclaw for 6 and 2 power for a 7 might unit, which is a unit Freljord cat, which has tank. Your units here with less might than me can't be chosen by enemy spells and abilities. Card seems good, but I'm just not sold. I have witnessed it and looked at it, and I just can't feel a way that this unit is actually really, really, really good. Because with tank, you already have to deal with this one first. Now, obviously, it does make trying to target anything, or rather, you can't target it, so it gives that Ruin Runner effect. As it stands, I'm going to give it a 3. This is pretty expensive, but it is above rate, and could potentially be very good in holding strategies. It's not broken, but it's a non-zero factor that's something you have to deal with. So, it's a big cat. Probably an Ivan, maybe. We'll see. Our next card is 5 for a 4 might unit. Champion unit, Lilia, Ionia, Fae. Lilia, Protector of Dreams. When you play a unit, give me +1 might this turn. Your units have tank. Your token units have tank. This ain't the one. She ain't the one. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. She's not the one. It's a lot for not really doing much. I don't think this is going to be the Lily you want to play. It seems like a really cool effect, but the problem is it's only this turn. I'll be honest, the second line is the problem here. When you play a token unit, give me +1 might the sun. If it just said, when you play a token unit, give me +1 might, and it additively stacked, I'm here. I'm actually like, that card is like very, very powerful. Because in that turn, she gets really big for a turn and then suddenly goes back down to 4 and is relying on always hiding behind, realistically, the sprites. So I can't give it to her. I just can't. She's not the one. She's so pretty. But, so close yet so far. Our next card is Marcy Unstoppable. For 12 and 3 power, 12 might for champion Marcy Ionia, which has level 3, I cost 2 and 1 green less. For level 6, I cost 4 and 2 power less. And for level 11, I cost 8 and 3 power less. And at level 16, I can't be chosen by enemy spells and abilities. I've seen this be played. I've also seen spots where XPEs could have played it, and then they promptly didn't, and then they didn't need it anyway. I don't know. This is like the payoff, realistically, for playing XPE, but it's the biggest payoff. Is it good enough for XPE? Probably not. It's probably fine. I think the card's fine. Realistically, you're not going to get to level 16 super often, so it's more like a level 6 to level 11 card, which in turn is like fine, but not breaking the bank, and I'm not super excited about it. I'm going to give it a 2. I think when you get to play it and you get to do all the things, really powerful. But realistically, actually, you're going to be playing it with the Yi himself, which in turn is going to be able to give you a lot of abilities, because if I just very quickly show that one, at 6 and 11, realistically, if you get to play XP Yi at 11, you do get to come in ready, so he would be relatively cheap, coming in ready, smashing him for 13. Pretty good. But that's kind of the magical Christmas land spot. So I'm going to give it a 3 on the idea you can get to 11 consistently. If you can't, yeah, card's like a 2. And the final green card for us is going to be Vilemore. Vilemore is 8 and 2 green for an 8 might unit, Shadow Isles Spider. Vilemore reads Ambush, and enemy units here with less might than me don't deal combat damage. When I hold, draw a card. Vilemore's a very solid card. I'm going to give it 4. If you can find ways of cheating it out, it's absurd. But with the Ambush and 8 and 2 green, it's like a one-off card that you play that if in just a value mid-range deck, right? This is your top end, and then suddenly your opponent's going to come in, do a big thing, and you've got like 1 unit there, or you're trying to do a big hold, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to lose this. Ambush. I don't lose. I don't lose. I don't lose, because if it's not bigger than 8, I don't lose. Now, it does problem if someone builds a big monster with like an Aurelia or like a Vi, for instance, we've already seen. Yeah, Vilemore just loses. But when I hold draw card, that's pretty good. Pretty good. Cycles itself. And it's hard to get into Vilemore unless you can make it bigger than Vilemore. And if you can't make a unit bigger than Vilemore because your deck isn't built to do that, it's pretty good. Blue things obviously make it smaller, and then suddenly anything can do it. So yeah, it's an interesting card. It's a really unique design space, and the Ambush makes this a lot more playable. If it didn't have the Ambush, I wouldn't rate it.